Hello, welcome to Everyday Experts Special Author Spotlight Edition. I have a very lovely and excited young lady with me today who just finished her debut novel called The Quiet One. It's a very good book, and I'm going to let Sophia explain it to you, but it's a very good book, very dynamic, excellent pacing. Very proud of her to be 13 and written a whole book. 23,000 words, 160 pages. She put a lot of work and energy into it. I met her through one of my old co-workers, one of my friends now, and her mom approached me and said, "Oh, my daughter wrote a book." And you think, okay, how serious is this, et cetera, et cetera. But then when I looked at the book and I saw the amount of effort and time that Sophia put in, I was like, I'm very amazed. So, Miss Sophia is a very talented young lady. She's very impassioned, very driven, very dark with her subject, but it's okay because, what's one person getting bumped over the head as opposed to two or three? And she knows what I'm talking about. Langston Hughes said, "Hang yourself, poet, in your own words, otherwise you are dead." I've always looked at that as believe in your writing and believe in yourself. So I present to you author Miss Sophia Turano.
Hi, guys.
So I can't wait to read it. Jennifer Rhodes said, "I can't wait to read it again either." We got a lot to talk about. We're going to keep it short and sweet. We just want people to know about your opus here, the first of many, I hope. So, Sophia, how are you doing tonight first?
Very nerve-sighted. First time. I'm really excited though, so it's good.
So first question, tell me about yourself.
I'm 13 years old. I have 3-ish older brothers. Chase, who is 17, Daniel, who is 20, Anthony, who's my oldest brother's best friend, he's 20 also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chase was diagnosed with brain cancer at the age of 2.5, I think. So that's really affected me, but writing was definitely a way for me to cope with that because he is such a big impact on my life. And yeah.
Oh, you're getting a whole bunch. This is amazing. Getting a whole bunch of love already. 13, Mr. John Gibbon is a bastion of knowledge and wisdom. Congratulations to the young writer. Yes, queen, do it. So I know you said that your brother was a big influence for you and you kind of leaned on writing. I too do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How did you fall into The Quiet One?
So it really all started in 6th grade when we were presented with a personal narrative and a short story in English.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm like, oh wow, I might do good on this, I might not. And then after I wrote that, it was closer to like March 13th when it was the last day of school for me, last day of regular school.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just fell in love with writing. And at 18, I wrote these short stories. I would read them to my mom. And she
It's okay. Won't be a teenager if your phone didn't go off.
Wait, how do I get back on? What did I too. Okay.
Nothing.
Oh, I can't see you.
You can't see us?
Wait, no, I got it. Okay.
Okay, good.
So yeah, and then I wrote a lot, like most of my days, most of my nights, I was just writing. And I was really obsessed with like crime and like true crime. And I would research all these cases and then I kind of like piece them together and put them to a story. Then once I went back into school, Miss Wanzer, I don't know if you're watching, but hi, I love you so much. And I kept like giving her like all of my stories. Like I'd print them out and then I'd give them to her and she's like, oh my gosh, I love this one, I love this one, I love this one. And then I gave her this one and it was more lengthy. Like these short stories, 5 to 8 pages long most. And this one I think was like 11 pages. And I brought it to her and I was like, here. And she said, oh yes, another one. Great. So she was reading it and it took her, I think, like a week to get through it because I forgot what we were doing, but we were doing something bigger in class, so she didn't really have a lot of time to read it. But I walked into her class one day and she was like, Sophia, come here. And I'm like, what's up? And she was like, this could be a book. And I'm like, haha, I'm 12. I was 12 at the time. And I'm like, this could be a book. Like, I don't even like this story. Like, I like The Walk Without Her better. That was one of my first short stories. And she's like, no, but Sophia, like, this has characters. This has so much too. Like, I want to keep reading it. No more. And she was just, and all my friends were like, oh yeah, if you write a book, like, I'll buy it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna write a book. That's just dyslexic people can't write. All right? Yeah,
Right.
no. But yeah, and then I think like it was a month later, I was bored one night and I started writing again and I was just like adding on to it and I went to her the next day and I was like, hey, like, would you work on this with me? And she was like, totally, like, I'd love to. And then almost all of my lunch periods, all of her lunch periods was just me and her. She was editing it while I typed more. She really helped me through this, and I was also going through a rough time in my life when all of this was happening, and it really helped me to get out of it. And I could just like rely on writing because that was my like way out almost, if that makes any sense.
A lot of sense.
So then yeah, and I finished it early June, late May, I think. And then I don't know what mom called you, but I was like, because I was talking to Miss Wanzer, and she was like, we can get this on Amazon. Like, I don't know if you want to have like a publisher or we could self-publish it. Like, I'll help you all throughout the summer, like blah, blah, blah. Okay, sounds great. And not really thinking much of it. I was like, I really want this to go somewhere, but I don't think it will. Like, all this. And then my mom came to me and she was like, one of my friends has published like many books and he wants to help with this. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
So then a few short days later, you texted me and we started talking about the book. And it was just really crazy. Like, if you told me a year ago, like, I would have met you and I would have met like my English teacher that would have helped me through all of this. Like, I would say, haha, funny. I'm never. That's just. I'm 12.
Well, let me ask you a question. What was your initial feelings like during the first meeting when we met and we were talking about everything? Yes, that's how you ordered a book.
I was definitely like shaky. I was nervous. I was like, oh no, what if I say something that I shouldn't say? What if I mess up? Like, I really want him to like me. Like, I really want this to go somewhere. And then I just like, you were so, I don't know what it's like, you were just so like chill kind of, and you were like, okay, like this, and this. Like, great, perfect. Like, I got this covered. You just type your little heart away. And then we had a group chat of me and my mom, and my mom would always say, "Put some zhuzh into it." Don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I look at my phone, and that's just the name of the group chat. So that was like our little joke.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. Like after that, I just felt like really close.
Mm-hmm.
You and my mom, like when we were together, and then I met you for the first time in person, and that was like one of the best days ever. I was like, "This is real. This is happening, even though it doesn't feel real and it doesn't feel like it's happening." But it is. And like, I don't know. When I told my dad, he was like, I brought him a folder, and it was the original copy.
Mm-hmm.
Never edited. There's still misspellings, and we were in the car, and I gave it to him. I'm like, here, and he was like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "I'm writing a book," and he was like, "Okay." Like he didn't think it was real, and I'm like, "No, I'm actually writing a book, and it's like it could be on Amazon one day, like if I ever get that far." And he was like, "Cool."
Mm-hmm.
And then I just like stopped giving him updates because I wanted like something like huge to happen, and then I could show him like out of nowhere, like this happened.
Mm-hmm.
It was not out of nowhere. But then I remember we were at dinner. I hadn't seen him in like probably 3 weeks because I went to sleepaway camp. And I was like, my book's gonna be on Amazon. I have a publisher. I have my cover done.
Right.
Like, this is real. It's happening. And he was like, wow. Like, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm. What is it like? Because you brought it up. I mean, you started the book. If you were 12 when your teacher suggested it, you probably started at like 11, 12, the book. What's it like to be 13? Your book's available for pre-order. I mean, how does that feel?
Crazy. It doesn't feel realistic. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just my short story. Like, this isn't my book. Like, yeah, it has my name on it on the front cover and then the inside cover, and like, no, it's like it's my name, not what I actually wrote. But then like I'll like flip through the pages and I'll be like, dude, I was reading this to my mom, and I would always leave off with a cliffhanger because I wouldn't know what to write whenever I read it to her, and she's like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I'm like, I'm done. And she was like, Sophia. And I'm like, what do you want from me? I can only write so much. And it's just like, it's so crazy to me that like this actually happened. Like, I don't know how to explain it.
That's crazy. So tell me the role that Mrs. Wisner, that's your teacher's name? The English teacher? What role did she play in the whole process and helping you through what seemed like a really rough time?
She was just a teacher that I immediately felt a connection to. And the fact that she like even sat with me for one lunch period, like that's her. Like she only had one lunch period. She was teaching every other period. And just like the fact that she sat with me and took time out of her day and like her busy schedule, she just influenced me so much, and I'll remember her till the day I die. The only reason that this is a book, if she didn't push me to do it, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. But yeah.
Who else pushed? I know Miss Wisner was huge. Who else pushed you? Was like, Sophia, you can
do it. Probably my mom. Definitely. Yeah. I remember I like first came to her and she was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And my sponsor said that. And she was like, okay, you have to do it then. I don't know. And it was just, I don't know how to explain it. But every single night I would write a little bit more. And then I'd have like a writer's block and I couldn't write. And then like 2 weeks later, I'd be typing right away. Get like 5 chapters in.
Oh wow.
That was fun. And we were in hospital last night and we were checking out. I was like, Mom, did you ever like actually believe that I wrote a book? And she's like, I never didn't believe in you. I just didn't think it would happen this quick. Like I've never no writers write a book in 2 months. And writers are 13 years old and balancing schoolwork. So I definitely believed in you. Just never thought that it would happen this quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
How do you deal with the stress of writing a book? Because the book's what, 22 and change, 22,000. Let me say that again, 22,000 words and change.
Writing never really stressed me out.
Okay.
Like I would have my music on, and I would I didn't think about what I was typing. It didn't matter. Really, just whatever came to the paper. And like I would like stop my school. Like if I was doing math homework and I got really stressed out on math homework, I put it away for like 20 minutes and I just type. I would type and type and I type. And then I'd go back to my math homework. And that really helped me because like I've learned that I need to keep myself busy. I have school, I have cheer, and then I also have writing. It's a lot, but I love it. So it's just it really helps.
How does it feel to invest in your talent?
I don't really know. My mom, she was like, "Soph, I really hope this book goes somewhere." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too." She's like, "It was really expensive." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that." And I was like, "I have the least artistic ability in the whole wide world."
Nope.
How did I write it?
No, let me explain. Where does art come from? Where do you think art comes from? Real art?
No idea.
Your heart.
What?
Your heart.
Yeah.
When you have singers sing and they're like singing and they're doing all this and they're singing from their heart. When you see people dancing and they're sweating and pouring, they're dancing from their heart. So when you're doing something and creating from your heart, that's art. It doesn't matter if you don't sell a book. It doesn't matter if, and you will. And I know that was the word. You'll sell a book. It doesn't matter if people's, oh my God, it's your first book and you're 13. That is amazing. And you should definitely be proud of yourself. So speaking of being proud, what was it like when somebody surprised you? We're not going to say any names, but yesterday, what happened?
I was doing homework. No, I was either doing homework or writing. I don't know. It was one of those two. And I was also cooking dinner. I was doing homework. I was writing and cooking dinner all at the same time. I'm my mother's daughter. I can't multitask. I don't know how to do this, but whatever. So my mom came in and she had an Amazon package in her hand. And I was like, oh, weird. Because my stepdad was supposed to order pens for me, but it was a lot of pens and I did not think he was going to get that. So I felt the package and I'm like, oh, thank God, pens. Like I have no more. And I'm like, okay, let me just like go back to typing. And I'm like, I really want to see my pens. I open up the book. I open up the package and I saw this part. And I'm like, what is that? I open it. I start bawling my eyes out. I'm on the phone with either Daniel or T-Mobile. I have no idea. It was one of those two. And she didn't see me. I screamed and she was like, Sophia, shh. And I'm like, it's my book. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, it's real. And she's like, it's real. And then the first thing I did, grabbed my book, I took a picture of it, I posted it on Instagram, and I posted it on my Snapchat story. And I was like, I got my first book.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so, I don't know how to explain it. It was just such a weird feeling to actually like be holding something that you put so much work into. It's real. Like, it doesn't feel real, but it is.
Did you get your pens yet?
My what?
Your pens. Did you get your pens yet?
No, I never got my pens. I love you so much. I'm like, never mind. Not my pens. I have one pen that I'm living off for like the last 2 weeks now.
So you got 2 books, right? You got 2 copies, author copies for you to review.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with one of the copies?
I had to give it to my teacher. Like the first thing that I thought of right when I got it, I was like, I need to give this to her. Like, I need, like, now. Like, right now. I don't care. Like, it needs to happen. Mom was like, okay, you have two books for a reason. I'm like, okay, I'll mark this one up and see what I like and see what I don't like. And then the other one to Miss Wanzer. So this morning my mom took me to school and I was running late. And I was wrapping it in the car. And I was actually early. I was late, but I was also early to school, which made no sense to me. So I sat in the cafeteria until the 5-minute bell rang, and I sprinted up to the 7th grade wing. I walked into Miss Swan's class. I knocked on her door, and she was talking to another teacher. I'm like, "Do you have a minute?" And she was like, "Yeah, what's up, Soph? I haven't seen you. Like, I'm so happy." And we just had small talk. And I was holding the bag. It was wrapped, so you could not tell what it was. And I gave it to her, and she's like, "Oh, is that for me? Is it chocolate?" And I'm like, it's not chocolate. It's not. I mean, I don't know if it's better than chocolate, but like really nothing's better than chocolate. But this might top it. I'm not sure though. So I give it to her, and she's opening it, and she rips back like a little piece of the paper, and she's like, "Is this what I think it is?" And I was like, maybe. And she opens it, and she's just flipping through the pages. And my dedication page is dedicated to her. And I'm like, wait, can I have the book really quick? And she's like, yeah, sure. I was like, I need to show you my favorite part. I open up to the dedication page, and she starts to read it, and then her eyes, like, tear up. And she was like, is this real? And I'm like, yeah. I had no one else to dedicate it to. You were the biggest part in this book. Like, thank you so much for everything you did. And she was just crying. And she's like, can I give you a hug? And I'm like, please. And then she was like, this is crazy. This is so crazy. And then one of my favorite teachers from last year came in the room. And I was like, oh, she's back because she got quarantined. And Miss Wanzer was just holding up the book. She was like, look. And she was like,
hold it up so everybody can see the cover. Yes, let's see that byline. No, yeah, the front. Push it closer to the camera so everybody can see. Higher. Yes. Good job. Okay.
And then she's like, what's that? And she's like, Sophia's book. And she's like, what? And she came a little closer. And she's like, oh. And she took the book and she was like, this is your book. Like, yeah, it's my book.
How did that feel?
My heart was pounding. I don't know why. I was just really nervous to give her the book. But then she loved it. And then the warning bell rang. And then I like sprinted out of her class. And she still had the book. And I brought both the copies to school. And I went into my math teacher's room. And for all my friends, or all my teachers watching, you know Mr. Churzlin. Our relationship is superb. So I walk in and I see like a classroom full of kids. I'm like, where's Mr. Churzlin? And he's like hiding behind the closet door. And I'm like, Mr. Cherslin, I'm here. And he's like, Sophia, it's not 8th period yet. Get out of my room. And I'm like, no. So I was following around the class and I'm like, you know how I told you I was writing a book, even though I'm like really dyslexic? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, here. And he's like, what's this? And I was like, look at the name. And he's like, it's dedicated to me. No, it's not dedicated to you, Mr. Cherslin. You keep kicking me out of your room. Your kids love me more than you. I hope you realize. But he was really happy for me. And then I sprinted downstairs because, my first period had to be on the other side of the world. And I passed my study skills teacher from 6th grade. I'm like, I have his prize. And she was like, what's up? And I give her the book. And she's like, I knew that you wrote a book. I didn't know that it was like this. And I'm like, yeah. And then the bell rang, and I'm like, okay, I have to get to my first period. And she's like, okay, I'll go with you if you want me to be your human lay pass. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I walk up to my teacher and I'm like, Miss James, I have a surprise for you. And I give her the book, and she's like, I didn't know that you wrote a book. And I'm like, oopsies. Like, it'll be out on Amazon soon. And she's like, okay, I never have time to read, but for this book, I will make time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I love it. So, Mr. Munoz, can you bring up John Bainbridge's comment about dyslexic in writing? It was a little earlier. See if we can find it. I'm also dyslexic, trying to be a writer. Never let anyone tell you what you can't do. So when you see something like that and you see people are inspired and what advice would you give to somebody who is writing a book or writing and they're dyslexic?
Dyslexia, I think, also is on a spectrum. And I don't know what type of dyslexia I have, but I can't read well. And I don't know. It just kind of like I never really started a book. Like I can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna write a book. That can't happen. Like it just doesn't. So I'm like, okay, let me write a short story. And that really helped me. I go paragraph by paragraph, and I'm like, okay, my goal, 200 pages. No, I don't never set a goal for myself. I never set like a long-term goal. I'm like, okay, let me just get to the end of this page and I'm going to go to bed. And I'll get to the end of the page and I'm like, okay, I need to write more. So I'll keep writing more, and then I'll keep writing more, and I'll keep writing more. And once you get into the groove of writing, you just can't get out. It's like TikTok. You go in a rabbit hole. You can't get out.
Yeah.
Your finger does not leave that app. And that's kind of what I felt like it was with writing. And yeah.
But you got out the hole. And we're going to go into a minute that you're back in the hole. So we have this opus, this monumental story that you poured your heart into. Let the people hear your favorite part of it so that they can get a gist of what they're going to be buying for $20, $25 with shipping and handling.
Okay. So my favorite part is the court case, but I can't really say the court case because that kind of gives the whole entire book away. So look through the book, and I found one of my other favorite parts. It's chapter 4, and the chapter name is The Dumpster. Asia's dad took in the situation. The dumpster, the smell, the garbage strewn about. I'm so sorry. Okay. Asia's dad
Start over again.
Asia's dad took in the situation. The dumpster, the smell, the garbage strewn about, and his precious daughter's belongings staring up at him. He had ordered that hot pink dance bag for Asia. Despite her personality, she loved bright and happy colors. It had been on back order for 2 weeks, and Asia had done a little dance of joy in their kitchen when it had finally arrived. Just what I always wanted, Dad. Thank you, Dad. You're the best dad ever. She had thrown her arms up around him and kissed him on the cheek. Asia, my daughter.
I love it. What does that part mean to you?
I feel like it gives like kind of what the book is about.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of heartache,
Mm-hmm.
and you will definitely be on the edge of your seat when you're reading most of these chapters. I have tried to end every chapter on a cliffhanger because
Mm-hmm.
my mom always would yell at me for that. And I'm like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
I want them to keep reading.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like what every chapter is in a way.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's awesome. I like the section you picked. The book is. How would you describe the book in one word?
Thriller or horror. Not really horror. I don't know. Like,
A horror thriller?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like if
You
you have
told me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if you have a weak stomach, this might not be the book for you. I mean, there's not really like gore. Like I don't go into it, but there is some things that even I was like, I actually read that. Alrighty.
A lot of situational violence.
Definitely. And like towards the end, um, one of the characters struggles with self-harm and she comes out as bisexual and her
Mm-hmm.
family doesn't really support her.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's kind of how the book ends. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have like a weak stomach with some of those things, I would just try to skip over that part.
Or read it and then just deal with the weak stomach because we want you to support the young author.
Yeah.
So this is part entry 1 in the Uncle Duke series, right? Uncle Duke's the lovely fellow on the cover. Matt, could you possibly bring up the cover for everybody to see real quick? Oh, maybe he doesn't have it. That's okay. He wasn't expecting that question. What's next? You know, you wrote this book. It's 9 million words, 150,000 pages, 8 million chapters.
So the book does leave off on a slight cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
But fear not, there is a second book coming out. And we are trying to get it out for pre-order by early December so it can be out for a Christmas present
Mm-hmm.
for your loved ones if you like the first book, which I highly think you will, because
Mm-hmm.
so great. And yeah.
Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. So we're not gonna be on much longer. We wanted to really focus on Sophia's debut novel, The Quiet One. It'll be available on Amazon probably in a couple of weeks, but right now you can pre-order with us and you'll get it in about 3 to 4 weeks. But what we did want, if you are interested for Sophia when she comes into a full Everyday Experts hour-long grueling interview, then like, subscribe so you'll get notifications and you don't need her to send you the link. But this is still going to be amazing. So the next book we're looking for, you said December-ish to be in your hands so you can give it to everybody as the best gift, right? This is a continuation of the first book. So this is a continuation of The Quiet One.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get some kind of conclusion, or you're not going to tell us?
I mean, all I have to say is you will think you know what will happen, and you are truly very, very wrong. I was reading it to my mom. She's like, "Oh, I know." It turned the absolute other way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tanya wants to know if you can sign her copy.
I mean, you're Tanya, so I guess.
So this is going to be a series, and is there something after the second one that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking about a story or a book, really, just about Uncle Duke,
Okay.
his life, and what he went through as a child to kind of like what happened and why he's shaped into the person that he is now. Because as most serial killers did, they had a traumatic childhood, and I'm gonna kind of have like the same for Duke.
Mm.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite show that you liked growing up that might have influenced some of your more McCabe ways?
Definitely Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Oh yeah, that
Like
makes sense.
that definitely the reason that this book is a thing.
That is, I do see it as a reason why this book is a thing. I do think it's very interesting when you were telling me what happened when you went into the lunchroom today. Can you share that story? That story was very cool.
So, I brought both my copies to school, and I was gonna give one to my English teacher, and then I just had the other one. And I normally help out one of my teachers from last year with just everything, like in her classroom. She has off that period. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of help like because she's a tech teacher, so I
Mm-hmm.
have to like clean up the back room, all of that stuff. Or sometimes we'll just like sit and have lunch together with a few of my other friends. And I already had my book and my lunch, and then I passed my friends I normally go with, and I'm like, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're not gonna go because Nicole has extra help." Blah blah blah. I just don't feel like I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I don't feel like going and putting my book back all the way back in my locker because that's too far.
So you made a boss move. Tell me about the boss move you made.
So I
Own it, girl.
I
Yeah.
walk I walk into the lunchroom and I go to the back because that's where my table is.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends had been nagging at me. They're like, "When do I get a cover? I mean, when do I get a book? When do I get a book? Blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, calm down. I'm not sure yet. Just take a chill pill." And then I walk in.
Mm-hmm.
They saw my story, so they know that I have the book,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw something in my hand. So I throw the book down on the table, and it looks like hungry, like I don't know, hungry bears fighting something, and we're like all pulling at the book, and they're like, "I want it! No, I want it! No, I want it!" And I'm like, "Don't rip the book! I need it for tonight, and then you can do whatever you want with it. Okay?" So then all took turns, and then they all like sat next to me, and there was no room, no more room, and like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like actually, like you wrote it. Like what? And yeah, that was my fun experience in the lunchroom.
I love it. This is that's awesome. So the last question that I'm going to ask is, looking at your journey in the next journey you're in the middle of with the new book, what do you see for writing for you? Do you see it as something you want to do? Do you see it as something that's going to be a hobby?
I definitely want to continue writing because I do have a
Good.
passion for it, and I do really, really love it. But I really want to be a detective specializing in SVU, and I've wanted to do that since like 6th grade. I know I've always wanted to do something in like the law enforcement. I just didn't know if like what it was. And then I kind of like started researching more cases, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like watching a show with my mom, and no, it was a movie with my mom. I can't remember what it was, but Jay told us to watch it, and we were both sitting on the couch,
Mm-hmm.
and the woman left her phone. So it was like a road rage movie. And the
Mm-hmm.
woman had her like no password on her phone, and her son said that's dangerous, whatever, blah blah blah. she gets into this car accident, and this truck follows her.
Mm-hmm.
And he follows her here, and he follows her there, and then she goes to this gas station because she runs out of gas. She grabs her purse, runs into the like little store area, and she's like, "This car's been following me," like blah blah blah. And then she saw the truck come out, and he grabbed her phone, and she went back into her car, not knowing the phone was gone. And I'm like, "Oh, he took her phone, so now she can't do anything." And mom was like, "No," and I'm like, "Watch the next part." And then that's what happened. She's like, "Oh, I'm never watching this with you again." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, it's like too good."
Detective Sophia Turano has a nice ring to it. It does. And the beautiful thing about what you want to do, you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both. So,
Mhm.
any last words besides buy your book that you want to say to the people that have joined us tonight?
To whoever was dyslexic and trying to write a book, I say go for it. Worst comes to worst, oh well, but I highly doubt that you won't get anywhere with it because I believe in you. And I'm 13. And I somehow managed to write a book and have another one coming soon. So I just say, like, really try with it and stick with it.
I love it. So, the book is called what?
The quiet one.
The Quiet One. It's entry one in the what series?
Uncle Duke.
The Uncle Duke series, which is going to be really good. Matt, could you bring the order information up again for everyone? You can order a copy. The book costs $20. It's $5 with shipping and handling. The Cashapp, the Venmo, you can email ElPoetaGuason@gmail.com. You can Cashapp $ ElPoetaGuasonLlc or Venmo at ElPoetaGuason-LLC. That's ElPoetaGuason. All right. Anybody that's interested in ordering a copy, you can also reach out to Sophia. You can reach out to me. If you email me, just let me know your name, your address, so we know where you want to buy, where to send the book. So screenshot this if you want. Whatever you need to do, it's going to be in the description, so you can always come back to the link and come back and look at it and get the information. You can go to the website, which is www.ElPoetaGuason.com, and you can order the book through the website. That is Miss Turano's publisher. All right, Matt, you can take it away, sir. All right, Miss Turano. I'm gonna need you to hang out for a second.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button, leave a comment. Let's see. Let's put pink hearts in the chat for Sophia for writing her book. Let's get some pink hearts. Let's get some pink hearts. I want to see the pink hearts. So, tomorrow. Oh, Matt, let's bring up the October slate. Please, sir. All right. She who led off our October, Miss Sophia Turano. Tomorrow, my friend Mitch is coming on. He's going to talk about cryptocurrency and real estate and maybe basketball. Saturday, October 9th, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the comic book whisperer, Mr. Daniel Martinez. Then we have another author who's going to be talking about his debut novel, James Hopner, on the 13th. That's a Wednesday. That's going to be 7 to 8:30. The 16th, I have another author, my writer, my mentor, Mr. Bess. Then my tattoo artist, and one of my really good friends is coming on the 23rd. And on the 30th, we have our mental health roundtable with Mr. Caesar and Miss Kristen. Thank you, sir. There we go with the hearts. There we go with the pink hearts. Put up those pink hearts for Sophia so she can see them. Show up. Yes. Yes. Look at those pink hearts for you, Sophia. Keep writing. Keep striving. Congratulations on your book. Yes, Glenn Caesar, namaste. You're going to have a bright future. Keep following your dreams. And in closing, the writer William Wordsworth said, fill your paper with the breathings of your heart. Thank you for joining Everyday Experts. Ms. Turano, you are Everyday Expert. Keep writing, keep plugging along. Everybody else, nano. Joker out.